Hello, and welcome to the next episode of Black Creative Healing. I'm your host, Natasha Thomas, and I am recording this fresh off the art space collaboration between myself and Zelda Lockhart. And let me tell you, I am so excited for y'all to experience the conversation and collaboration between myself and Zelda. Zelda is an author and a PhD. She and I were actually in the same PhD cohort at Lesley University. And a Registered Expressive Arts Consultant in education. So you're going to hear us talk about the expressive arts as a whole. You'll hear us talk about creative writing, about the exploration of life as a personal plot, and the people that we interact with as characters in our individual personal plots. You'll hear us talk about self-care and the expectations sometimes placed on Black women by the people in our lives. You'll hear us talk about how to manage those expectations and find space for self and play in the midst of all that. And you'll also hear us talk a little bit about Diamond Doris, Doris Payne, famous jewel thief. If any of you are familiar with that name, Zelda is actually the author who worked with Doris on her memoirs, which recently came out. So I'm super excited for y'all to enjoy this conversation for part one of this episode with Zelda Lockhart. And stay tuned for part two, where we play together. This collab is really something, y'all. Enjoy.
Since I believe so much of the weight, the wonder, the gifts, the everything we have is in the story, then I may as well tell you the story of 10 minutes ago.
Yay, I'm ready.
Oh my God. So I pull into town, I go get my hair cut, which is fun. My barber, it's a little Black barber shop, and, in the hood. And then I'm like, okay, I'll go check my mail, and then I'll meet with Natasha in the library until I can, get to my house. So I come to my other town, to Hillsborough, where the house is and stuff. And so, yes. And as I'm pulling into town, I'm having the same feeling that I always have for 5 years, and I think I've talked to you about it some, of just being like, why do I like feel fantastic, like about myself and everything, not here? And literally, I'm pulling into town and I start being like, why do I feel depressed? Why do I feel like I'm about to have an existential crisis? Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So I'm asking myself, in the food co-op to get some tofu, because I'm like, I need a snack.
Yeah.
And I walk in and this like, excuse me. I'm just like this. Do I look like I work in produce? I'm not wearing the produce apron. I'm just for work, And she's like, excuse me. And I'm like, huh? And she's like, I really need you to stop what you're doing and help me. And I said, I don't know why that's true, and so I'm trying to see past her. And so she's like in my way. And she's like, I need somebody to help me right now. And you're not, and I started calling on anything, because I was like, is this the answer to my question that I had when I walked in the store? I was like, Lord Jesus Christ in heaven, universe, mother, God, somebody. And she moved out of the way.
Huh.
Still professing as I walked to the tofu, because I was like, it doesn't usually bother me, but I think it's because I asked the question as I was walking in the store.
Huh.
Hurt, and my feelings never get hurt. I'm 54 and I'm Black and I'm American.
Right. It's hard to hurt your feelings.
Yeah, you get your feeling, you get over it, right?
Right.
But I was like, Oh my God.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I was just, why? I was just like feeling disappointed for humanity and the stark difference. I was in that moment of
Yeah.
literally 15 minutes ago, you felt this way. Now you feel this way. You felt like Zelda, the expressive art therapist, writing woman, PhD, loves nature, feels good about life, happy go lucky. I felt like that.
Yeah.
And 15 minutes later, I felt like the struggle.
Yes, okay. That reminds me of this experience that I had recently. I just switched this to a side-by-side view because I realized, oh yeah, I want that for the recording. God, my hair, it's snowing outside.
Oh, your hair looks great.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, no, so I recently presented, or I was scheduled to present in a class in another department, so not my department here. And
Yeah.
when I present about my dissertation research, it's exciting, it's invigorating. I'm talking about Blackness and teenagers and prioritizing their voices. And this presentation I had that feeling, that moment where I was going in being like, I'm Dr. Natasha Thomas and I know my shit. And
Yeah.
the lady treated me like I was in the wrong room originally. I didn't look like who she was expecting. And later she told me that she forgot she had anyone coming to present at all, which I was like, okay, I get that. But what got me was in the moment when she didn't recognize me and I didn't know who I was looking for, and I asked, can you help me? She said,
Yeah.
no, we are trying to have a class here. And I was like, oh, ouch.
Ouch indeed.
Like I just got sent to the servant's entrance. Like,
Exactly, you did.
and it's hard to explain that moment
Yeah.
to people,
Yeah.
because I tweeted about it, and I was trying to talk it through to colleagues, and some, they get it to a degree. They're like, oh, that's terrible. But then it's like the nature of what's terrible about it, they don't recognize.
Right. They get it, but they don't feel it. So
No.
because it's not of their experience. And that's not a bad thing. You can't, it's not like you could do that. What is it called? Trading Places, that old movie with
Right.
Richard Pryor and somebody. And it's not like you can it's not like you can like zap that on them or something, but so they intellectually get it, but they don't have it as the part of their experience. So
exactly,
they don't have a way of feeling it, knowing what it feels like.
Right.
And a colleague of mine, so I tweeted, my tweet was just basically about my feelings. It wasn't so much about, wanting to stop my foot and all humanity disappear and we start over. Or snap my finger.
Right.
In game.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much about that, but so a colleague of mine, maybe about 2 weeks ago, she tweeted saying that as the chair of the which committee was she the chair of? As the chair of the new chair of the tenure committee, she walks into the room. They're having a meeting and said this. So this is at Duke, and so they're having it at a hotel. We have Duke has their own hotels. So and she comes into the room, the conference room, and another committee member says, "Excuse me, can you get me some water?" So she goes and she gets, I could say her name is Carla Holloway because she tweeted it. So she put it out there.
Yeah, I think I saw this.
She went, she got the water, she poured it, and then she went and she sat at the head of the table. She is more control than me. She must have had a good breakfast.
Yeah, like there's the graciousness.
Yeah.
Like, because after my thing, I had to go give a presentation in the presence of this person sitting right next to me. And just like keeping my shit together. Well, all I wanted to say as I was talking about stereotype threat and all of this, shit that impacts academic performance of teenagers, I wanted to be like, speaking of, isn't it amazing how great I'm doing given this experience you just put me through?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was at so what we did at Kara's Books, I arranged for Doris Payne and I to do a reading because the mass media had been overlooking, meaning that they didn't read the book, the major Black feminist themes of the book. I mean, it's an empowerment. That's her story. It's an empowering thing, and it's like I didn't do all that work to pull those themes forward just for no reason. And so anyway, so we're in this moment, and everybody's just like, it's just amazing. Everybody's just riffing off of just the power of it and how beautiful it is, and for them to hear her speak about all this stuff, and for us to just have this back and forth and this dialogue and all that. And then this woman asks, she's like, I just want to know, with how it is that you did all of these things, like, how is it that you're sitting here, like all these things that happened to you, in your life, and all the racism, and she happened to be one of the white people who was in the room. She said, with all the stuff that happened to you, how is it that you're sitting here and you just seem fine? Why aren't you just like in worse shape in your life? Now we're talking to an 89-year-old elder. Because the room was like 90% Black, they all went almost like she did not just approach.
How dare you? Yeah.
She said, "You're so sweet. You're such a you're so sweet and cute." And I said, I stopped her. I said, I have to stop you.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you're making some mistakes, and you're speaking to some things that it gives us good opportunity to talk about why is it that it was so easy for Miss Payne here to walk into, dressed up, looking beautiful, to walk out with a couple $1 million worth of jewels. And I said, it's actually the things that you are saying right now, and the fact that you're missing an understanding. You're missing the understanding of resilience and grace and how they work together. And that's what made it easy for her to steal from white people. Boop. And she did not get it, but all the women in the room were like, yeah, child.
It makes me think of that Toni Morrison interview where someone poses the question about, do you think you'll ever write more mainstream material? And she was like, I don't think you could ever understand how profoundly racist that question is. Mm-hmm. And just eviscerates her with the sweetest, honeyest of Toni Morrison words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like I think when I was younger, or maybe in my sort of middle range age of like between 30 and 40, maybe 35 and 45, I would have more of a reaction of, I really want you to get it. Like I bought my first house on diversity, arts-based diversity training for, because I really wanted them to get it, but I also got paid well. But at the same time, I mean, at this point in my life, I'm like, if you didn't get it this time around, if you're one of the people who didn't get it, it's none of my responsibility. And I am then participating in enabling you by thinking that you should get it. I mean, if I say something really racist to someone who looks like maybe they're Mexican, and I say something really racist, there are no passes for me to get it, It's on me that I don't get it. And so I have to pay the consequences of that. But we kind of get into this thing as Black people in America of participating in the whole nonsense by thinking that we have to serve. We're still serving. If we're serving white people's ignorance and saying, I'm going to help you get it.
It's like so much caretaking.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to help you get it. You did something wrong. I'm telling you it's wrong. You might not understand it's wrong, but you probably will understand it better from someone with a similar identity as you who does get it. So why don't you go and seek them out and see what kind of healing you can give? But it's not my responsibility to do all of that work.
Exactly. That's been a long time coming for me as well. Because I did, I did a ton of diversity work, or attempted to do a ton of diversity work in North Dakota. And it broke me in half and split me open and just left me with feeling like I was just bleeding everywhere and nobody gave a fuck.
Yeah, it's like, sorry, sister,
Yeah, like I've even had, like people I would possibly still consider close friends say things like, you know, maybe it was just the timing, or maybe it was just, you know, that you weren't working with the right people. And I'm like, no, that's definitely not what happened here. I need you to acknowledge what happened. But also at the same time, I don't. Like, I'll be here if you're ready to acknowledge what happened, but I can't be sitting around waiting for you to figure it out. Like, I have to secure my own oxygen mask. I got to keep it moving.
And then taking up space. Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad I'm like, thank you for this therapy session.
Right. That's one of my favorite parts about this is the opportunity to just like talk through some shit.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, oh, I can't wait to see what we talk about. But then it's just like literally, so the county library is upstairs and that's where I am. And the food co-op is downstairs.
Yeah.
So it's a little building complex. You know, so yeah, I mean, by the time I got up here with my laptop, I was like, I just gotta say what happened.
I have a music therapy colleague that whenever she's like, when we're in a meeting or anything like that, anytime she gets up to say something, she's like, you all know that whenever I feel this burning in my belly, I have to speak. And so she's like, I have to say something. And we all just wait, just, you know, okay, we just trust that the belly is burning. The word that we said. And I actually think it's rather fitting that, you know, you being an author, that we start with a story.
Absolutely. Start with, see what happened was.
What had happened? I think it's great. But that said, we do need to do like a piece where you introduce yourself, you know, moving around or whatever. But so however you want to like say who you are and what you do.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, you know, that the answer to that question changes depending on what I just did.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. But so I do a lot of things that are integrated. So it's like different branches of one main vein. So if you think about a river and its tributaries, you know, so I'm a woman who by nature listens to, holds, and offers story, you know, and then all the tributaries off of that is that, you know, I do that in conjunction with other, particularly Black women, but women who are wanting to tell their stories to help reflect to them back and forth in such a way that they can hear the pieces of their story and then they can bring it forward as a plot, you know, be that poetry or memoir or fiction. And I do that also in professional development work. You know, so if people come with a problem, which to me is just like in a plot, you know, we got a main problem. You know, they come with a problem, something that's going on with their coworkers, and then we work it out through personal plots, through all of their individual plots, and see how their plots are playing off of each other in such a way that they are having issues with each other as characters. So in order to then resolve the plot, you know, so I do a lot of that kind of work. And recently, what is not translated into, but a new tributary off the river is my desire to pull Black women's stories forward, and then what I call finishing the story, like your story's not finished until an audience gets it. And trying to collaborate with major press to bring particular aspects of our experience as Black women forward that isn't pulled forward necessarily in the experience of Black female celebrities, which is the majority of Black women's memoir in the market. And so that's been interesting. So just closed on the second deal for that one is a woman who's it's maternal mortality and preterm birth issues for Black women. Her story is that, you know.
Wow. Yeah, because so the backstory on us is that we were part of the same PhD cohort at Leslie. You were the first to finish. A year ahead of the majority of us who just finished this past May. And then I think, the rest, like the trickle down is still happening. We had a big cohort. But I've long admired, like, just the way that you approach your work. Because you have your own, like, personal authorship and work that you've done as you yourself. But so much of what you do, like you talked about this most recent work being related to mortality, maternal mortality and stuff like that. I think of so much of what you do is like literary midwifery.
Yeah, that's funny. That's what we were calling it this past weekend at
What?
the beach. We were like, yeah, you're midwife. We're like, this is midwifery. Yeah, like we're having the babies, the 4 women that were there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that actually, that connects to something else that I wanted to like talk to you about or have as part of our conversation, is just to talk about Black
yeah,
parenthood, Black
yeah.
motherhood.
Yeah, I've been talking about that a lot this past weekend because it turns out the 4 authors who, it was like a private invitation thing because I saw that these 4 Black women that I had been working with, I had been working with them separately. And they
Okay.
were all at the place where they were ready to be done with their manuscripts. But I know that for them to have good collaboration afterwards, that they need each other. So bringing them together in that process, it was amazing. Making the top of my head tingle thinking about it. But we're all mothers, you know.
Yeah.
And so much of our work, the spiritual work of what we were doing and everything really centered around parts of our mothering and motherhood that we need to bolster for ourselves, and parts that are mythological behavior that's bad for us.
Let's start there. What's that? Mythological behavior is bad for us. Let's start there.
Well, like the main thing is like having this. It's like trying to ask the question. So I asked them the question like, who in your lineage put you in a position of believing that you needed to make sure that everything is okay for everybody and for yourself. You know,
Uh-huh.
yeah, because when I do workshops with women, I say, you are not responsible. I go somewhere and I take care of myself in such a way that I get to have somebody take care of me, whether it's a massage or my own therapy or whatever. And this is an opportunity where I'm going to take care of you. Do not come in here attempting to take care of me. And so many of them, it is complicated. Like I'll say, I've already figured out what you eat, all of that. And so all of that is ready. All you got to do is get yourself here. But then there's I stopped and bought food. I did this. I bought us some this. I did that. I thought maybe you would want this. And so I always, it's an opportunity then to ask the question that made you late. In what ways are you sabotaging yourself with this belief, with this mythological belief that you have to do that even when you're told that I'm here to take care of you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how much is that getting in the way of you getting what you want and doing what you want and getting your book written and everything else?
Right. Yeah. That idea of being able to look out for ourselves for the sake of ourselves is tricky. Like I know there's another collaborator that I was having a conversation with, and she was telling a story about her mother busting in on, her and some friends taking like a nap on the couch or something and being so upset because God forbid a Black woman be caught resting. Like, what are you doing? You can't just be laying around here being of no use to anyone but yourself, So the idea is not just that I have to take care of everyone but ahead of myself. It's that taking care of myself, period, is a problem.
Yeah.
Like taking care of myself, period. How dare I?
Yeah. So here we are it's beach, we're at the beach, it's a retreat. And, and then there being like these issues for them of getting in their own way of, but should not this and are not supposed to that. And it's like, no, you're supposed to just get your writing done. And you're supposed to have this moment. This is an opportunity. And if you're putting things like guilt on the table, you're doing that, and you're teaching your children, your partner, your parents that you might be taking care of. You're teaching anybody else to treat you the way that you're treating yourself right now. That you do not deserve even 20%, forget about 50% or 100%, you don't even deserve 20% of the time that you're giving them, because you've already set everything up for them to fly solo without you. And then here you are, you're late, you won't turn off your phone. And so we had to have that discussion. Like, on the one hand, you're begging, because I play hardcore. It's like I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything.
Yeah.
But it's on the one hand, you're saying, Zelda, help me get this written. And what I'm saying is that I'm bringing you guys together in this moment because we're beyond that now. I can't help you if you're not willing to see how you are destroying the process for yourself, how you are keeping yourself from getting this.
Yeah. Yeah. So in that instance, it's neat because in that instance, you're breaking apart the whole caregiver model. Like, you're not there to take care of them. They're not there to take care of you or each other. You are there to hold each other accountable, if anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, so don't, I talk about those internal saboteurs a lot. I say identify them, write them on the wall if you have to, on your refrigerator, in the playroom where your kids play, whatever you have to do. But, set up mechanisms for yourself. You would, if your child, you would send your child to daycare, you wouldn't say, oh, I can't do that. It's like, so send that saboteurish part of yourself as part of you, and you're not going to get rid of it, but send it to daycare so you can get your work done.
Yeah, right. It's got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out on the porch and say, you've been wanting to play in the mud all day. Here you go.
I think I'm learning, like, I'm at a place in my life where I'm trying to figure out where to send my internal saboteur, because I'm coming out what I think is the other side of the desire to explain myself to the people that I feel like have continually enabled me or resisted me trying to be myself or to assert myself, and this desire to constantly explain myself, justify, has become its own saboteur. Like, that's its own thing. That's its own beast. And I'm trying to figure out where to put that bitch out to pasture.
Exactly. That was one of the closing ceremony this weekend. Oh my God. It's yesterday. I'm still feeling that. Is that is to memorialize that part of you that you are saying, you served me well. It's not that I didn't love you. So many people benefited from your existence.
Right.
But it's we have to say goodbye. And we did flowers and everything and music and walked the long, beautiful, with these beautiful beach shrub trees, this path, and went to the beach with these flowers. And I didn't think I was going to get emotional, but we all just bawled.
I'm getting emotional just hearing about it.
Beautiful. And we were listening to this beautiful India REACE song that's just basically about fly. There's 4 of them. And we were on the path. Now, these are the pelicans that weren't on the beach because we weren't on the beach yet. So we're on a perpendicular path that goes to the beach. And it's sunny. And anyway, it was just, I felt like we were in a Julie Dash movie. And these 4, in the songs, I had the song playing on my phone as we were walking quietly just in procession. And she, the song, she goes, spread your wings and fly. And I saw a shadow and 4 pelicans. That's when they lost it. We weren't even at the beach yet. And we're just already just bawling. But it was so beautiful. And we, that song, I believe in open doors.
I do.
It's so beautiful. It's just talking about the reverse of everything that we've been talking about.
Yes.
About the doors start closing when people are offending, but it's just so beautiful. Anyway, and so then we went to the ocean and it was like burial at sea. Flowers in the water and let the tide pull them. Anyway, oh
man, I gotta take one of your workshops sometime.
I go wild.
Because I feel like I could use that. Like, I've been trying. It's an interesting thing that is just occurring to me in this moment that I need to find a place to put that part of myself.
Yeah.
I keep trying to, I've been working with a therapist because every good therapist needs a therapist. And And she's been great about, where does this come from? Where does this come from? Why do you, and really doing a lot of investigating into corners of myself. But the piece I'm struggling with is, okay, now I found it. Now I'm holding it in my hand. What the fuck do I do with it? It can't stay here. It's got to find a place to go.
I love that. What has been happening with me, with focusing after the PhD, and the attention about the focus on Black women, focusing on Black women, and first not apologizing, but trying to explain, and then saying, you know what, I don't have any more time for that than I had time to spend 5 years doing a PhD. So I benefit so hugely from every one of the workshops because I didn't realize all of the ways that even in doing the workshops and in planning the workshops, all of the ways in which I was code switching. And not seeing that and thinking, oh my God, like people walk away and they're like, oh my God, that was so amazing, so amazing. I didn't know the contrast. I didn't know that I was code switching until I knew it by contrast.
Yeah.
So much ritual has come into the work now, and song, and there is just so much in there, and it's in there without me having to say, will this person get this? Will I have to explain that? Da, 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 da. It's just so organic and so beautiful, and also the reciprocity that I remember I was saying that in the dissertation study about how this reciprocity of being that I share with them and they share with me, and we all grow together. And realizing that might be a way to practice, but because of the society that I live in, I'm going to feel guarded practicing that with people who don't understand that my sharing is not to be commodified, capitalized on, or used in some kind of way.
Yes.
Oof.
Yeah. The sacredness of the relationship, keeping that intact while disclosing, is an art unto itself. But the creation of the ritual piece, I think is so, it's so powerful, and so much meaning is made there. That I think that has to be talked about too. Like I remember having a conversation with my mother about altars, and like spaces that you set up as altars in your house, and sort of just pointing out, like, that's an altar. Like that, those pictures of grandma over there, like that's a shrine. We have these little sacred things all over our homes. And I think that we have practices like that too, these little rituals that pop up all over. But when you set the intention of them in a working space, it's heightened. There's something that deepens the work. I feel like it's kind of like there's these different ways that we know. So we might know something intellectually, and we can get that through some of the writing or some of the, we know things. We know things in our spirit, and then we know things in our heart. And so it's like, for me, in order to whatever it is that I am helping people to remember about themselves, it's like, the ritual sets it in place in a way of knowing that they have been hungry to engage in. Or maybe in society, I know for myself in society, that way of knowing and that way of teaching me and that way of giving me information is not engaged, Right. Yeah. So I know, like, in music therapy, there's sort of this pushback against this old practice of having hello songs at the beginning of every session. And it's been interesting for me because I went sort of full circle on the issue. Like, in the beginning, I was trained to, you always have a hello song at the start of things. And then I went to the other side where it was like, why are we doing this meaningless thing? These seem so kiddish and unnecessary. And now I'm sort of coming back around to, but the ritual aspect of it is not wrong. Like, having a greeting and grounding ritual is not wrong.
Yes.
And that there is a place for that. It doesn't have to be hello, 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 and how are you? It doesn't have to be that. Like, yeah, that can go and stay gone.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the ritual.
I so believe in that. So
Yeah.
remember with the how I wanted to open our sharing our, what was it, pilot study or whatever presentation we
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was like, I'm such an NDI fan, and so I'm like, we need to call the light. So I was praying about him light, you know.
Yes.
And saying we need to open this way, and those who need it will have it, and those in the room who don't need it, don't want it, don't understand it, don't care, it'll go right past them, and it'll be like the wind is blowing and whatever, it's fine.
Right,
But
that's
those
fine.
who really need that will be able to have that. And why do it the other way around when there are people in the room who might need something, but we're leaning toward a Western way of doing things, and then those people don't get to have that. They don't get to have the ritual, you know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I think when I presented my doctoral study during graduation weekend, I remember very pointedly asking everyone if we could just take some breaths together. Like, let's just breathe and hone into the moment right now. Like, just something as small as that.
Yeah.
Be so valuable, but it really is, it's Western sort of white supremacist structure to, okay, we're in the room, let's go.
That's right. Let's get this thing rolling. Let's, there's money to be made. There's things to be had. There's, yeah.
Yeah, right? We do not have time to be wasting rituals.
Like, this is a get and grab culture, get on up there and do what you gotta do.
Right, yeah, we're standing here breathing for what?
I've been, so when I read from my own work now, which is funny because I did forget to talk about that. So I'm also an author,
Yay!
Yeah, but at readings now, so when I say everything is integrated, one of the ways that it's integrated is by doing things in a similar way, no matter where I am. I call it taking all of you with you, no matter where you go.
Yes.
So I'll be at a reading, and there's a couple things that I do. I always tell the venue that no podium, and I always say lapel mic only. And they're like, what do you plan on doing? And I always say that wherever your amplifier is, it needs to, I have to be able to communicate with the audience, so I will likely be walking around.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, and I don't tell them this because because I don't want to deal with a lack of understanding about why this is necessary, or if someone making an executive decision about it. I just come and do it, which is we always open with song. And I never know what the song is going to be. It's like I didn't know when we were going to do the procession. When we were talking about what we were about to do, I started hearing that NDI REACE song. So I played it, So I don't know usually what it's going to be. I do that when I do keynotes. They say, we need a description of the keynote. And I give them sort of a vague description of the keynote, but I don't know what else is going to happen.
Yeah.
But I always look for and listen for what is the song, perhaps around conversations that I've been having with people at their little buffet, or whatever, and then I bring that song into the space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's such a profound way of drawing focus inward, like, music in particular. It pulls all of your attention into the now.
And we all need it, and we all love it. And, well, we don't all love it, but it's just so... I want to respect those people who are alike.
Right? They exist. They do exist.
But it's for many, many human beings, it is something that is primary. Some of the first sounds that we pick up on are our rhythms and sound, song and stuff. So, yeah.
It's deeply, deeply rooted. Deeply. Yeah.
And play.
Yes. And play. I remember, so we had, as part of our PhD journey, that arts apprenticeship that we had to do, that we had to engage in an arts-based process that was different than what we were trained in. So me being a music therapist, I went into woodworking and built a guitar, so it was related to the work I was doing. But I remember you did like photography and like this
Okay.
whole video thing. And I remember the play aspect of your feet, like walking
Yeah.
on the sky in the video at one point. There goes
Yeah, that's
Zelda.
what it is with me and feet. I was photographing the women on the beach. I put the camera down, and it was so beautiful because there's my feet, like right next to the camera, and there was their feet. You know, they were just standing there looking at the water. You know, and yeah, and then we started trying to turn, see if we could remember how to turn cartwheels.
Oh God. You would not see me doing that. Or, well, you would see something. You would see something. It would not be a cartwheel.
Pretended it wasn't a cartwheel, but I told them I knew how to do the kick, so the go online. There's a picture of me and another one of the participants going like side with the sideways kick.
But that I think is huge too. Black women being given the space to play. We're forced to grow up very early.
Oh,
you know,
child.
like get it together because everyone's going to be relying on you. You
I
know.
was raising my younger siblings starting at 9. I was left in the house alone at 9 to make sure that Marlon, Carrie, and Reggie got breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Wow.
That they got to play in the backyard. This is in the summertime. Yeah, and so I did that for my summers until I was like 14 or 15.
Yeah, you were in charge.
Yeah.
Your childhood was done.
I was the next one in line to have to do that summer job with the younger ones. So
yeah,
it was done for me, you know.
Right. Yeah, by another sibling.
Yeah, and then it was my turn. You know,
And
hang the laundry when they take their nap. Go hang out the laundry on the line.
Yeah, yeah, and it's something that I think we continue to perpetuate without even realizing it. You know, like I want my kid to be able to play as long as possible. You know, like play's okay, mess is okay.
Yeah.
You know, I want to protect that.
Alex is in South Korea. She comes home this week, so she's been there for the semester.
Exciting.
And, yeah, yesterday I was like, as long as I can see you on Life 360, because she wanted to catch 3 trains and go to the Gangnam district.
Okay.
And I was like, you know, by yourself. And so she was like, yeah, I have to get a break from finals. I just need to just be out and just play and just get coffee and just see things and hear street music. And so I was on the phone with her because I was like, if she gets lost in the train, I'm going to be so sad. So we're on like the app and I'm like watching her, talking to her and watching her move.
Yeah. Because I mean, the fear is real. Like everything that fear is rooted in is absolutely real. We are targeted. You know, we are abused all over the world.
Yeah,
you know?
This is true.
But it's like finding that space, that balance to give ourselves room to play.
Yeah. It's like, how do you play when you're prey?
How do you play when you're prey?
Write that shit down. And then send it to me because it's going to be a jump start.
Yes, it will be. You know what? I feel like this is our research question.
For the other.
Yes.
That's what I was just going to say.
This is our theme now. How do you play when you're prey?
Yeah. Yeah. It brings up a lot of things. So one of the things that I talk a lot about with your personal plot is like not the only way, but one of the ways that you have to get to revelation and outcome is to first, whatever the wounding event was in your plot, you have to be able to work to gain new discernment after you've been traumatized, new discernment over what is and what isn't harmful around that same wound.
Yes.
Because how can you have a revelation, and like we could translate that to how can you play if the playground is where you were damaged?
Yes.
Or if your home where you used to play is where you were wounded. Or if we could go on and on and on with that scenario. And so often our play, like I did a thing of taking Black women write in wilderness. And it was so beautiful and so sad at the same time because they talked about why it was hard for them that night. We're just sitting around the campfire and they didn't want to go to bed. And so not one of them had slept outside before, and we talked about that. So we talked about that kind of trauma, like this is a great opportunity to like be under stars and play and have all this fun, campfire and marshmallows,
and yet
yeah, and it's like, yeah, but at the same time you feel traumatized that somebody's going to come and hurt you.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
And so I sang to them, you know. So song again.
Yeah.
So I sang to them. I was like, you know, that's how I got through I didn't get through my first night of camping 21 years ago. I drove all the way home after everybody went to bed thinking they wouldn't know. I drove all the way back at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And there was a beautiful older woman who was there. She was like 65. And I was like, damn it, she was already up. And she said to me, I know what you did. And I was like, I felt so embarrassed and ashamed. And you know what she said to me? This is what got me through the next night and made me stay. She said, I'll stay up with you tonight as long as you need me to until you fall asleep.
Wow.
Yeah. Man. So I just sang to them outside of their tents. I sang every lullaby I could think of until I started hearing snoring.
Oh, man. Oh.
So I think mothering might be one way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think so. And finding like, and I think like healthy mothering, you know, like mothering that is self-aware and mothering that, yeah.
Clarissa Pinkola Estes talks a lot about the different mothers, you know, she does, these aren't the words, but it's like the tattered mother, the different kinds of mothers. And then, you know, when you're looking for the mother of how you would mother yourself.
Yeah.
So looking for and accepting when you find that kind of mothering, because we can do it for ourselves, but we all also need that modeled for us. And we need to feel, everybody needs to feel that feeling that you offer your beautiful little Mo of what it's like to be suspended without worrying about gravity because someone's holding you. And it never crosses your mind to not go to sleep. Like maybe they'll drop me, or like none of that ever crosses your mind. It's just complete trust.
Yes.
Yeah, we all deserve to be able to feel that. You know? And it makes it so that we feel safe enough to play. You know. Totally.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I know. Now I'm like, oh my God, what are we gonna make? How do we do this?
I know, right?
How do we sum this up?
So let's see, movement, because I thought about that when you said like moving, because I'm thinking moving, playing, wordplay.
That too.
Music.
Yeah. That too. There's all of it. So maybe one question we can answer up front is how spontaneous do we want to be about it? Do we want to like set a day that we're going to get together and play on this day and then whatever happens? Or are we going to, like, I've done one collaboration that involved back and forth of sending each other things. Yeah. You know, so we could do that. Like,
here's a thought, and tell me what you think about this. What if we, you know, like I gave us like a prompt and a and showed you how to do like a jump start, like a prompt and a jump start. Cool. And then we both like free wrote on the prompt and the jump start, and then you do something with us on that same thing. You know, how do you play when you pray? Mm-hmm. You could give something, you know, from your music therapy, your musicology background, that, you know, some kind of exercise. And then we bring those together. We bring those back to each other, maybe in presentation almost, or just presentation to each other and to the viewing audience.
Right, yeah. That could be fun. So we embark on our own, like, internal journey of answering this question.
Yeah, because I thought about that when I was thinking about how we did with, like, it's like we embark on a little art apprenticeship.
Yeah. I dig it. Yeah. But I like the idea of doing a free write first. Like write and then go.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like write and then maybe then express what is written through
Yes.
music.
Yes. Yeah.
Ooh, this is getting better all the time.
I like it. And then we like come back and do them for each other, you know, like
Yeah.
and show them to each other and witness
Yeah.
each other and respond to each other. And yeah.
So you want me to tell you how I jumpstart so that I don't think too much to try to keep my
Sure.
thought
Yes.
process,
Yeah,
whatever?
that sounds great.
Yeah. So I'll have a prompt like our prompt is that question. How do you play when you are prey? And so to keep myself from sort of going into this place where into my analytical catalog of
Hmm.
thought process of going, well, when I was a child, I would play blah, blah. Instead of doing that, what I do is I already have some poetry or something that I feel like is very lyrical. And I happen to keep stuff bookmarked on my phone because I jumpstart like this a lot. And I say it's sort of lyrical with lots of sort of sensory details so that the language and everything is just very compact with really good wherever you lay your finger down.
Hmm.
And so then I ask myself, so for instance, so this is a Sharon Olds poem.
Ooh,
Um,
okay.
and I also have some Toy Derricott poetry bookmarked. And I just put my finger down. So with that question, so I have the prompt in my head. It's kind of like turning the light on. Well, it's like going into the room
Yeah.
of the question of
Yeah.
how do you play when you pray, but the light isn't on yet in my head. And so then I put my finger down and whatever 3 words I land on, I ask myself, what did I think, feel, or remember about that question? And so
Huh.
let's see where I landed. I landed on fresh from the other world. And I did I felt and thought and remembered something that I actually wouldn't have thought of, which is when I was at the beach and I was about to go out and play. I just started, you know how sometimes your feeling will come before the brain says, what are you feeling or why are you crying?
Right.
And I just got like a washover. And it was Levinson and Carrie, both of my brothers who I played with a lot, who passed away as adults.
Hmm.
And there was something about getting ready to go to play on the ocean, and feeling like I was like, Carrie was so playful. He actually, he passed away in the ocean. He drowned in the ocean, but just such a daredevil and such a great human being.
Hmm.
And how they would want that for me. And so I got up and I went to sunrise on the beach by myself to play. I love playing on the beach by myself.
Hmm.
And I took a video. I'm going to upload the video. I took a video of sunrise, of me coming to the beach at sunrise. And so I want to write about that. And there was in the video, you'll see there's a little ball of light.
Hmm.
And I started at the end of the video, I started saying, I see you, I see you, I see you. I felt like it was LaVinson just playing and bouncing around.
Yeah. Yeah.
So see how that can work? Like you'll have that thought, but you won't be thinking, you'll have the prompt, but you won't be like, well, what will I write about?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
My
Yeah. And yeah. So
yeah.
it kind of helps to stimulate a part of your brain that already has the thoughts and memories there
Yeah.
associated with that prompt. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I like that idea a lot.
You want to try it real quick and see what happens?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so now I'm like, what poetry? What should I pull up? Uh, hmm. Let me maybe some Maya. Maya's always good.
Yeah.
Or like if I'm thinking song lyrics, some Nina Simone maybe could be good too.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that I do. Sometimes I'll jumpstart with music. So then I'll plug music in my ears, and literally the lyrics and the emotion of the melody will help me feel
Yeah.
and remember stuff about the
So
prompt.
so you know how Google like autofills,
Yeah.
So I started typing Nina Simone lyrics, and the one that I decided to click on, because Feeling Good was top of the list, and I was like, nah, that's not quite right for the moment. I decided to click on Sinner Man.
Oh.
I don't know why.
Okay, so put your finger down in those lyrics and see, like, just have the lyrics up there and then put your finger.
Yeah, yeah. So I just, but the rock cried out, I can't hide you.
Oh. What did you think, feel, or remember about play?
About play, right? With the rock crying out, I can't hide you. I felt that sense of panic that happens, like playful panic that happens when you're playing. So like you're in a literal sense playing like hide and seek, and you go to find a great hiding spot and someone's already thought of it. And the moment when you lock eyes with that person and you're like, oh shit, I can't go here. Oh my God, where am I gonna go? That's what I just felt.
That's so awesome.
Right?
Oh my God, all kinds of stuff is coming into my brain. Like the way that there's so much of the games when we were kids that we learned to play or to teach us not to be prey.
Right.
Like hide and seek.
Yeah. And we're training ourselves to become good evaders and outthinkers, outsmarters. Yeah.
Dang.
There's some. So yeah, I'm excited to like continue with this idea.
Okay. What's gonna be? Okay, so then we're gonna write, and then when we come back together, we're gonna do a music thing. So
sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we come back together, we'll share our free writes or whatever our free writes evolved into.
Yeah.
And then we'll find some space to musically play.
That's one of the ways that we first connected.
It was, yeah. We were playing those really like janky, awful guitars in the basement of Washburn at Leslie. Like we were playing India REACE songs, I think.
Yeah, I think we were. Sweet Honey in the Rock, and we played a Sweet Honey in the Rock song too.
Yes, yeah. We did a whole bunch of yeah. The vocal play would probably be the most organic, natural thing for us.
Okay, yeah, I guess that will work, and then because then we could do it back and forth, just like a conversation. We could be in it, you know.
Ooh, yeah. Talk to each other in that way. Okay, so we have to set a date to do this now.
I know, this is awesome. I love that we very organically talked ourselves into where we're going with this.
Right?
You know?
Yeah. That's part of the fun, is that like it just sort of naturally each collab has worked itself out in its own way. And sometimes this is the most natural way. Yes, yeah. Yeah, very much.
I'm gonna put our question in here.
Yes, yeah. Also, I love that the sticky note that I chose to write this on has a little title on it. It says, Dear Me.
Oh, that's perfect.
It does feel kind of perfect. Dear Me, how do you play when you're praying? Before I let you go, can you do like a little here's my website, here's where you can find more about me. Can you do that real quick?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and so my website is ZeldaLockhart.com, and that's HART at the end. And that's my other website. And then the website for my Black women's writing studio is HerStoryGardenStudios.com.
Cool.
And then the website for my Women of Color Press is LaVensonPress.com, LaVensonPress.com.
Cool. All that.
Thank you. This was such a bright spot. It reconnected me to how I felt before I came into town.
Good. I dig it.
Light and love and energy. Yeah.
Likewise.
Right, bye, sweetie.
Yes. Love you. Catch you later.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye. So heads means who goes?
Okay, so I'll take tails.
You'll take tails? Okay. I'm not good at this. I'm like, oh God, oh Jesus. Well.